There's a difference between a scene that's technically flawless and a scene that's actually great. And few movies prove that better than Smokey and the Bandit. It wasn't polished. It wasn't planned down to the letter. But it became one of the defining films of the 1970s anyway, powered by fast cars, quick one-liners, and a spark between its two leads that no studio executive could have manufactured on purpose. Released in 1977, Smokey and the Bandit became one of the year's biggest sensations almost by accident. The cast alone was a strange, perfect mix. Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, Jackie Gleason, Jerry Reed, Pat McCormick, Paul Williams, and Mike Henry. Charm, chaos, and comic timing all in one film. The plot was simple on paper. Bo Bandit Darville Reynolds and his buddy Cletus, Snowman Snow Reed, take on a bet. Haul 400 cases of Coors beer from Texarkana to Atlanta in under 28 hours. The catch was that Coors wasn't legally sold east of Texas at the time, which made the whole run a bootlegging operation. Snowman drove the beer truck, while Bandit ran interference in a gleaming black 1977 Pontiac Trans Am, drawing every cop's attention, so the real cargo could slip through untouched. Things got complicated fast when Bandit picked up a runaway bride, Carrie, Sally Field, turning him into the personal obsession of Sheriff Buford T. Justice, Jackie Gleason, a loud, foul-mouthed lawman hell-bent on catching him. What followed was one of the most beloved car chases ever put on film, packed with wrecks, near misses, and pure comic chaos. On a $4.3 million budget, the film pulled in $127 million at the box office, making it the second highest grossing movie of 1977, trailing only Star Wars. Not bad for a movie about beer, trucks, and a bad idea nobody thought would work. The man behind the camera, Hal Needham, had never directed a film before. He'd spent his career as a stuntman, one of the best in Hollywood, and had been quietly dreaming of turning his love of stunt work and the open road into something bigger. His original vision was modest, a scrappy $1 million B-movie with Jerry Reed playing the Bandit. But studios wouldn't take a stuntman seriously as a director, no matter how good the pitch was. That changed when Burt Reynolds, at the time the biggest movie star on the planet, read the script. Reynolds later admitted it was one of the worst scripts he'd ever read. But he signed on anyway because Needham was his friend. That single decision unlocked studio interest overnight. Reed shifted into the snowman role, and Needham finally got a shot. It still wasn't smooth sailing. Just 2 days before filming began, Universal slashed $1 million from the budget. After paying Reynolds his $1 million salary, Needham was left with only $3.3 million to make the entire film. Rather than fold, he and assistant director David Hamburger stayed up 30 straight hours replanning the shoot to make it work. It did spectacularly. The whole concept started with something almost absurdly small. While working as Reynolds' stunt double on the 1976 film Gator in Georgia, someone gave Needham a few cases of Coors beer. He stashed them in his hotel fridge, and noticed a hotel maid kept stealing them. Curious, he remembered a Time magazine article explaining that Coors was, at the time, illegal to sell east of the Mississippi because it wasn't pasteurized and had to stay cold, making it difficult to ship. It was only sold in 11 western states. That detail, people literally smuggling beer across state lines, struck Needham as the perfect setup for a movie. It became the spark for one of the most famous road films Hollywood ever produced. At the time, Needham was living in Reynolds' pool house, an arrangement that had lasted nearly 12 years despite both of their packed schedules. One day, he handed Reynolds a script written by hand on yellow legal pads. Reynolds' response: "If you can get the money to shoot it, I'll star in it." His friend, however, were reportedly horrified. Reynolds wrote in his autobiography that people got down on their knees, in tears, begging him not to do the film, convinced it would tank his career. Sally Field had her own hesitation, rooted in something far more personal. Around the same time, Sybil was drawing praise for her acting, but she recalled hearing comment along the lines of, "The work is extraordinary, but man is Sally Field ugly." When Reynolds personally called to ask her to join Smokey and the Bandit, she was stunned. There wasn't even a finished script. Much of it would be improvised on the spot. She took the role anyway, partly hoping that playing a character Bandit was supposed to find attractive might change how audiences saw her. It worked, and the chemistry between her and Reynolds became one of the film's biggest draws. A huge amount of what made the film work wasn't scripted at all. Jackie Gleason was given free rein to improvise as Sheriff Buford T. Justice, and many of the character's most iconic beats, including the diner scene where Buford unknowingly meets Bandit face-to-face, were entirely his invention. Reynolds later said Gleason barely used the script at all. Even the character's name had a real backstory. Buford T. Justice was loosely inspired by a real Florida Highway Patrol officer known to Reynolds' father, who had served as police chief of Riviera Beach, Florida. The sheriff's favorite catchphrase also traced back to a phrase Reynolds' dad used regularly. Early draft of the movie looked very different from what audiences eventually saw. Sally Field's character wasn't named Carrie. She was Kate. The larger-than-life duo Big Enos and Little Enos were originally called Kyle and Dickie, and the prize for completing the beer run wasn't the now famous $80,000. It was simply a new truck. Even Bandit's iconic black Trans Am wasn't locked in from the start. That came later in development. The film's signature theme, Eastbound and Down, almost didn't happen on time. Jerry Reed promised Needham he'd have it ready, but by the end of filming, he still hadn't written a note. He pulled an all-nighter and finished it just before showing it to Needham, who sat silently after hearing it. Long enough that Reed got nervous and offered to change it. Needham's reply became legendary. "If you change one damn note, I'll kill you." The song went on to become one of Reed's biggest hits, and the sound most associated with the movie. The costumes, including Gleason's sheriff uniform, were custom-made by Neiman's Western in Fort Worth, Texas, helping cement the film's Southern identity. The timing didn't hurt either. The movie landed right in the middle of the 1970 CB radio craze, and truckers and radio enthusiasts embraced it instantly. Its success is even credited with helping pave the way for the Dukes of Hazzard on television. In a fun bit of trivia, 3 future Dukes of Hazzard cast members, Ben Jones, John Schneider, and Sonny Schroyer, appear in small, uncredited roles in Smokey and the Bandit. Reynolds would later return the favor by playing Boss Hogg in the 2005 Dukes of Hazzard film. Alfred Hitchcock was reportedly a fan too. His daughter Patricia revealed that Hitchcock screened films in his office every Wednesday, and the very last movie he ever watched before his death was Smokey and the Bandit, apparently his favorite film in his final years. No car chase comedy made on a shoestring budget survives without a few visible mistakes, and this one has plenty. At a roadblock, Sheriff Justice's car door is knocked off by a passing truck, then reappears fully intact in the next wide shot. A police cruiser that goes off a bridge starts to fall as a late 1960s Ford Galaxy and lands in the water as a Plymouth Fury. In one driving scene, 2 people are visible in a car meant to hold only Bandit. And somehow, despite constant dirt road chases, the Trans Am never picks up a speck of dust. There are also small factual stretches. Sheriff Justice repeatedly claims to be in hot pursuit, even though legally that status ends the moment he loses sight of the Bandit, which happens often. The 400 stacked cases of beer, shown with no straps or support, likely wouldn't have survived the drive intact. And the opening lyric about the Bandit's brakes failing from lost air doesn't match how 1970s truck air brake.